Today we're talking about all the bottles of bourbon that I got in the month of August 2025. Let's get into it. Hello everyone, welcome back to Brad's Bourbon Reviews. I'm Brad, and today I'm gearing up for the Kentucky Bourbon Festival. It happens next week at the date of recording, probably like this in the next few days when this video comes out. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. So with that in mind, this bourbon haul was a little more tame, but I picked out some really cool things on my travels. If you're watching this over on Patreon, you've probably seen me do videos on all of these bottles because most of these were discontinued bourbons. And I did a video on that over on Patreon. If you're so inclined, check out the link in the description. But we're going to go ahead and get into these. These are in no particular order. First up here, my buddy Joey brought me this amazing bottle, this nice, great little budget bottle that I've actually done a video on already. This is JTS Brown. Big fan of this bottle. I believe these are pretty readily available in Kentucky, so I will definitely be going home with one. If I can find one, I'd like to get one from the Heaven Hill gift shop just because I like doing it that way. If you've never tried JTS Brown, super simple bourbon, but it's really, really good, and it's less than like $25. It's really inexpensive. 100 proof from Heaven Hill. Classic bourbon notes, caramels, vanillas, a little hint of cherry in there. It's really solid though, so if you haven't given this a shot, you definitely should. Moving on to the next one. All right, next up is a bottle that not a lot of people even know exists, and I did a video on it today as of date of recording, and the comments were saying I didn't even know this existed, never heard of this. This is Green River 1885 bourbon. This is like their budget release. You can watch the video if you're curious about my thoughts on the bottle, but it was like $25. I don't remember exactly. It wasn't very expensive. You get a liter of it. Comes in at 85 proof. This is supposedly lower shelf release from Green River. The first time they've done anything like this, at least to my memory. I know that the wheated bourbon comes in, I think, at 95 proof. 90 proof, I was wrong. Comes in at 90 proof. So, little different. I'm not a fan of the Green River wheated bourbon. I'm a fan of the wheated cask strength bourbons, but I think that the wheated was probably better than this. Go watch the video if you're curious of my full thoughts, but a lot of people don't know this exists. This is only distributed in a handful of states right now. It's these right here. I would assume that's going to change at some point, but if you haven't heard of that and you live in one of these states that were shown on screen, try it, see if you like it, because it's kind of inexpensive and it's a good way to get some cheap bourbon that you can use for a cocktail. Moving on to the next one. While we're talking about Green River, I was able to pick up this bottle of the Army 250th anniversary. I am so excited that I have this bottle. I love this thing. This is one of my favorite things I've had this year. I don't think it's going to last in the top 10, but it definitely should be in the conversation for the top 10 of the year. I'm not saying it's going to make it into the top 10 of the year, but it definitely should be at least invited to the party to talk about, because it's a really solid bottle. As much as I like Green River, I was still really surprised how much I liked it. I've also done a video on this, so if you're curious, go scroll through it, see if you can find it, because you want one of these. Trust me, you do. Moving on to the next one. This is technically a bottle of bourbon, or at least it was a bottle of bourbon, but my buddy Benny, who works at Southern Grace Distilleries, who make Conviction, texted me a few weeks ago and said that he had found a handful of old Jim Beam decanters and would I want one, and I said yes I would, because for some reason the only decanters I own have been Jim Beam ones, so I think I'm just going to keep collecting just Jim Beam decanters. He got me this really, really cool bicentennial Jim Beam 4/5 of a quart of 80 proof bourbon, 100 months old, and it's in this really cool decanter. It's from New Mexico. I don't know if it was like I didn't do a ton of research on it. I just thought it looked really cool, and it was cool to have something of a bicentennial celebration for 1976. So, Benny, thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate it. I'll see you in a few weeks for our barrel pick on September 10th. This is really fun. So, I like collecting these old decanters. They're really cool. They're a rabbit hole, and they can be very expensive, so just be careful if you start getting into them, but they are fun. And no, there's no bourbon in here. This is empty. Moving on to the next one. While I mentioned Southern Grace Distilleries, may as well bring up the next bottle here. This is the 7-year barrel 439. This is the bottle of the barrel pick event that I hosted for Southern Grace Distilleries a few weeks ago. And good Lord Almighty, this thing is an absolute banger. If you have one of these, you know what I'm talking about. It's really, really solid. Very different and unique for a 7-year from Conviction. Kind of has a lot more tropical fruit notes on the nose. It's really solid. So I think they probably still have a few available at the gift shop. Give them a call and see if they have any. If you really, really want one, they're fantastic. Moving on to the next one. All right, up next, another budget bottle. A lot of budget bottles this month. This has been a fun time. I got a bottle of Ancient Age 10 Star. This big plastic bottle. They didn't have the smaller one, which I would have preferred. I don't like plastics. I know, whatever. It's my own personal choice. Not a fan of plastic, so I don't go back to this one as much as I should, even though I've kind of put a little bit of a dent in it the other night while I was cooking dinner. I love this stuff, man. If you can't find Blanton's, this is probably as close as you can get flavor profile-wise. It's the same exact mash bill that Buffalo Trace uses for Blanton's. It's just not aged, and it's not a single barrel. And it's not the same proof. Blanton's is slightly higher proof. This is 90 proof. I think they're like 93 and a third or something. They are 93 proof. So I'm not saying it's as good as Blanton's, but when I did this video over on Patreon and I did like a comparison to the nose of this actually beat out my Blanton single barrel on the nose. So, you know, if you can't find Blantons and you're still looking, try Ancient Age. It's not the same, but it's comparable. Moving on to the next one. All right, I got 3 more discontinued bourbons and then one that was kind of a unicorn / very excited. Not a unicorn, but like an allocated bottle that quickly went from allocated bottle to standard release very quickly after I got it. So this is an old bottle of Old Fitzgerald. I found this while I was bourbon hunting out in Maryland on the way home from New Jersey. Stopped at this random little liquor store, and they had a bunch of stuff that was overpriced, but they had this, and I have been looking for one of these for a long time. I saw this one time at Frugal McDougal back in like 2022, and I regret every single day that I didn't buy it because they had a bunch of them. They were like $9.99. I think I ended up paying like $20, $25 for this. It's Old Fitzgerald. They have discontinued this one to focus on their other releases, including the 7-year. I actually really like this bottle. I was surprised how much I liked it. It's pretty basic. It's pretty boring. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's like one of the best things I've ever had. But for something that's this inexpensive and like this good at 80 proof, I honestly think this is one of the best 80 proof whiskeys, bourbons, anything I've ever had that was that low of proof. So if you ever find these floating around, grab them if you see them. Moving on to the next one. And on the opposite side of that coin is another discontinued bourbon from Heaven Hill. This is Heaven Hill Old Style Bourbon. This old school bottle here. I don't even know what year this is from. This was also discontinued from them, and they discontinued this to focus on the Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond series. This is also 80 proof. This is really terrible. This is not good. If this is Heaven Hill, if this is like the base Heaven Hill, I'm glad they got rid of it because it's a really bad representation of a really great distillery. I am very happy to have this now because I have this really weird bottle of Heaven Hill that I can talk about from time to time and, you know, have people try something that's really not good from the Heaven Hill distillery. So pretty cool. Again, I think this was $9.99 out at some random liquor store in New Jersey. Picked it up because I like collecting things that are gone, things that are discontinued, things you can't get anymore, and I actually like bad whiskey. So you combine those, and it's just like a fun little sub-collection in my collection. And another interesting thing about this is they charcoal filtered this, which I don't believe Heaven Hill still does, but this bourbon was charcoal filtered. Again, I don't know if they still do that. I actually might ask someone while I'm there in a few days to see if they still do that. Moving on to the next one. I didn't mean to have them end up this way, but I got 2 bottles from Jack Daniel's back to back. This is Jack Daniel's Legacy Edition 2. These, for whatever reason, are like all over the place in northern New Jersey, which is where I got this. And it was cheaper than a bottle of Old Number 7. So me and my brother-in-law got into this when I had a few Jack and Cokes while we were up there dealing with some family stuff. So we drank a little bit on this, and I have a few extras, so I wasn't really concerned about it that I won't open. But we opened this, and it was really fun. And the Legacy Editions are really cool. I'm still missing Legacy 3. I really need to find that one. Bothers me that I have 2 out of the 3 and not the complete set, but it's actually pretty good. I mean, it doesn't seem like that would make that much of a difference just being, 86 proof instead of 80 proof, but it actually does make quite a difference. And I was surprised at how much more bold and robust the flavors are, even just 6 proof points higher. So if you like Jack Daniels and you can find one of these, try one and see what you think, because it is a little bit better. I'm not going to say it's blowing your mind or it's going to make you go like, oh, this is the best Jack Daniels, but it is noticeably better. Moving on to the last one. I was so excited to find this bottle for a few reasons. First off, the bottling date is my mom's 60th birthday. They bottled it on July 18th, 2025. This is the Jack Daniel's Heritage Barrel this year, the Toasted Barrel. I am so excited to open this. I haven't opened it yet. I have tried one of these, but they all are single barrels, so I'm curious about the range and quality. I'm actually going to open this tonight and kind of get into it a little bit so I can have a review in mind for Patreon. If you have one of these, let me know what you think. I'm curious because I really liked it, and they announced that this is going to be a permanent addition to the single barrel lineup, so they must have gotten some really good reaction, or at least the people inside Jack Daniel's think it's really solid. So I cannot wait to try this. I'm going to try this with a cigar tonight. So comment down below. Let me know what bottles you got in the month of August 2025. While you're down there, make sure you leave a like and subscribe because we are on the road to 10,000 subscribers. I'll see you guys on the next one, and I'll see you at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival. Until then, cheers. A big thank you to all the Patreon supporters you see on screen right now.